All right, so we're back in open session, and we'll start with a review of minutes if we have any ready.
None ready.
So then on to project updates. If there's sign warrant for August 6th special town meeting.
That we have.
I do have to say that this process seems to be in need of streamlining in a big way at the state.
Well, the special legislation,
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is just, seems kind of overkill, but
for something that is largely a local,
well, it's largely local and the population's just getting older. Like, 65 is not really,
not uncommon.
it's not uncommon, it's not as old as it used to be.
And are they gonna deny it? She's burning a lot of paperwork and a lot of time of
Yeah.
other people for it.
It seems like a lot to do for something like this.
I think this process needs a lot of streamlining.
Well, there's that too, yeah.
I wanna point out that it's the first time we've gotten one of these with Doreen's name on it.
Yep.
Doreen was really good. She realized that her hours, office hours tomorrow might not line up with the availability of the constable to get the warrant posted in time. So she's nice about pre-signing. A little plug, anyone that comes to the special town meeting on August 6th, we've got some reusable shopping bags that are available and free gift for
That'll get the crowds
everyone
here.
who comes.
Just keep coming.
All right, now we can move on to highway superintendent.
So you've got a draft of the job description. I've got to thank Randy for putting it together
With Tom
With-
Hodak.
with help from Tom Hodak. I had a chance to look this over this afternoon. Really impressive. Just how well it fits, the scope of information and the scope of responsibility that's there.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, this looks like definitely a lot of work. Is the idea that we'll take a little bit of time with this draft and accept it at the next meeting? Trust the people that did the work, which I do implicitly. Because there's a lot here.
I
Yes.
certainly want the
There's a
full
lot.
select board aware of, on board with what's in here. I don't think there's a lot of departure from what the position has been.
Uh-huh.
I might suggest that we go ahead and do the advertisement, but in the wording of a full job description, put, that it's a draft. Not gonna change, substantial change to it. The substantially is there. I mean, you and I did talk, we need to add streetlights to it.
Yeah,
I sent it to you as a Word document, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't
To get this part of the
see-
process
I don't
started.
see a big problem with putting the job advertisement out there with a draft job description.
Mm-hmm.
Cause that way there we can get
Right,
that
we're
part.
updating.
Chances are this will, this could be the final, or there might be a,
Well, there may be some
small
moving
little
around,
tweaks or
and,
something
there
like
may be
that,
some
yeah.
moving around if some stuff,
but overall.
I didn't try to follow the format that we use in town per se, I just spent the time putting together something and
pretty-
having that, and then
Pretty comprehensive, though. Nice job.
well, Tom and I sat down with all the ones Ray had gotten us from other towns and
Yeah.
kind of picked through and took the things that we wanted, and some areas, I mean, one, I think, and I think you'll find it in a couple of places, the first line, this working supervisor, department head position. We're trying to make sure that, very clear that
It's not someone that's not working.
you're a highwayman, superintendent, but you're also one part of the crew,
Right.
which makes it an interesting position.
Yeah. Well, we're too small of a town not to
Yeah,
have something like that.
yep.
So do we need any action on this, or we're gonna just
I
wait?
think we'll bring it back for the next meeting with further updates and changes, but if we're at the point, if we get to the point of being ready to put the ad out before it's done, then whatever the draft is at the time is what we'll use for the moment. So you've got a draft of the advertisement. Haven't lined up the ad against the job description yet today, so I'm gonna look at it right now too.
Okay.
I think we have different amount of miles between us.
You rounded up and I rounded down.
I think I actually went to the 2004 road study and rounded up from that, so.
I went to Mass DOT Chapter 90
There you go.
and rounded down. So the couple of questions I see from the ad. One is the salary range. What's shown there is where the position is on our wage scale currently. It's grade 7 or level 7, whichever it is. So I guess the question, is it a grade 7? Should it be grade 8?
Well, is there wiggle room in regard to whoever the candidate is and what their experience is?
Well, 54 to 66
Maybe we have to,
reaches 4 level or 4 steps
right,
into grade 8.
didn't know if you could take it any wider than that or not, and you may not be able to.
Um,
maybe that's
Or
not-
you could word that the other way. The low end of grade 8 is still higher than the
Mm-hmm.
third step in.
Yep.
Depends on which way you're thinking, you might wanna have to wiggle.
Right.
I would be inclined to look at a grade 8 on this, mainly because I think it's very important to me that this position be fully an exempt position. If anything, I know there are towns that offer some type of a bonus if the winter was extremely strong.
Are you leaning away from that?
I'm not leaning towards or away from that. I think that's something, I think if you sit here and establish, well, okay, we'll have a bonus of up to $5,000 for a bad winter, then you're just kidding yourself and you're saying the $66,000 salary is a 71.
Right.
And if the winter's not really terrible, we'll take 1,000 away from it. I think you just set the salary, and then if we have a bad winter, you can always say, you know what, it was really terrible. The highway superintendent spent an enormous amount of hours out.
Right.
And you can look at what the other guys did for overtime. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's more of just making it an exempt position. I mean, I look at the notes Ray sent us from other town administrators, and, you know, some of the towns were, you know, there's talk of, I don't know if he's put in, you know, hasn't been able to account for the hours, or he gets 5,000 every year, he gets this or that, and then others that get full overtime. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I tend to lean in the same direction
Yep.
as far as having it be exempt, and if this, the superintendent can log their hours and show that they put in more than usual, then that can be reviewed for fair compensation.
But I think we can find out
Yeah,
from our records how many hours our highwaymen have put in over the last couple of years
Right.
and going forward, so.
that makes more sense to me than
Yeah.
having some sort of open-ended.
But I wouldn't even imply it anywhere in the job description or the ad. I wouldn't imply it in the discussions. It's just something
No.
we would have the
Right.
ability to do if we felt that it was needed at some point.
And not to take away from the highway superintendent, but I'm not sure that I want to I don't have any other way to say it, but put a highway superintendent in the same classification as a fire chief, a police chief, or a town administrator.
That's one of my struggles as well.
'Cause, granted, if a highway superintendent works hard and works long hours, but this is
So do
a
the
step
guys,
7, not a step 5 or a step 4.
so do the guys that work at the highway department. But they're all gonna be
And they're
inside.
5s and 4s.
Right, exactly. The other option, I mean, is to leave it as a 7, and if we don't get applications, or we don't get quality applications, if we feel like that's part of it,
And run the ad again.
although I don't think
Yeah.
the difference, it's not a substantial difference between a 7 and an 8 on the upper end. I don't think that's gonna buy
Depending on
you
where they
that much
fall,
better,
as far as
but
what
yeah,
step level, yeah.
right.
Any way you slice it, it's not
Right.
going to be an $80, $90, $100,000 a
No.
year.
No,
Right.
We're not that
we're
big.
not
We don't
Right.
have that
Big.
much for roads, that many people in the department.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I'm comfortable with the grade level 7
Okay.
for now.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to go up than down.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
My other question, just saying valid, need to have a Mass DOT Class B CDL. I think that's, gotta have it walking in the door.
Yep.
Hoisters license, there are 3 different hoisters licenses that we need the person to have. There's one for the, it's an excavator's license, so it covers the front end loader and the backhoe. There's one for the side mower, and there's another one for the bucket truck. feels to me like, I think the wording of just hoister's license is probably okay.
Yeah.
That when we're looking, I would say absolutely the front end loader, backhoe is another, gotta have it locking in the door. The sidearm mower and the bucket truck, I'm not quite as hard set on those.
They're not that difficult to get. It's not like you have to go otherwheres, no. You
Yeah.
go online and you can have it in a few hours, so.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm with you. If,
We had a recent hire to the highway department that had to
a
get the
mass
job
license,
first and then get a,
Massachusetts license,
right.
but, I mean, and I wouldn't even, I agree with you, I wanna see the Class B coming in, but if they have a New Hampshire Class B or a Vermont Class B, I'm pretty sure they'll get the Mass one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna lose a great candidate just because.
You don't have the mass one? Yeah.
Right.
And I struggled when I wrote that part up about, wanting to put or get it within X, but I just kinda left that alone as if something we would talk
Mhm.
about, so.
Yeah, I don't think, even for a job description,
Right,
it can be a short moment in a person's career where
right.
they might not have the mass one.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts about deadline for applications?
Do you remember when Brandon was hired? A, how long the application process was, and B, a rough number of, we had a good response, if I remember right.
We had 8 or 9 in-person or paper
Yep.
applications. I think there was another 5 or 6, mostly nuisance applications
Mhm.
from the various online job sites.
Right. And that was open for how long? A week, 2 weeks?
Probably a couple of weeks.
Being summer, I'd probably extend it an extra week, just 'cause somebody could be on vacation for a good majority of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you like 3 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
And knowing the time frame, when would you be running this? Starting this week?
Likely getting it in the paper this week.
Okay.
And I'll get the pricing on what it is to run it. I'd want to run it in the Montague paper and the Recorder
Mm-hmm.
at least once each. Budget permitting, I'd like to have it twice for each one. Just to increase the odds that it's seen.
Well, I think budget-wise, we're gonna have room, because even if the first, if we have it open for 3 weeks, by the time we hire somebody, we're gonna have a period of time without.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would recommend appointing the preliminary screening committee tonight. That way we can start meeting, fleshing out interview questions
You need a
if we
motion?
decide to do interviews.
Motion?
I guess that's actually a question for the select board. Preliminary screening committees may conduct interviews. They're not required to. I think my recommendation would be let the screening committee decide if they feel that interviews are necessary in order to put forth final candidates. Sometimes you get candidates where it's just so clear. Other times you have a feeling there may be some diamonds in the rough and the interviews do help flesh that out. To your question, Greg, motion, yeah.
I'll make a motion to have Randy and Ray and Tom Hodak.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Thank Randy and Tom. Right.
Right, that's not bad. I'm thinking 2 out of the 3.
Good.
You wanna stick with highway and get the new business component, or come back to that under the new business?
Either way,
I could probably do it now and get it over with.
yeah.
As I looked at this today, and I know I'm the one that asked for it, I'm almost thinking we're better off to hold this discussion until we find a new super.
That makes sense to me, yeah.
And, you know, I'd like have a discussion with that
Mhm.
person to
Right.
find out what they
What their
feel and
thoughts
how
are,
they
yeah.
thoughts
Yep.
and maybe, you know, tell me why a 4-day work week's a great idea and
Right.
tell me why a 5-day one is a great idea. Don't tell me either one's a bad one, tell me why they're
Yeah.
good.
That works.
Sounds like a potential interview question.
Could be.
Could be.
So we've laid that one to rest. We can go back to the rest of old business.
So, let's see. But July 8th was our last meeting. That's when we announced the FERC issuing intervenor status to all the various towns and other bodies. And then sort of describing it as now we wait and see what FERC decides on the issue of First Light splitting its license into 2 LLCs. So it was July 11th when the FERC decision came down, approving that request from First Light to transfer, divide, whatever the terminology is, but to split the license between 2 LLCs. So now that we've had a chance to wait and see, we're now into the, is there anything to do about it? The FERC decision, any party may file a request for a rehearing of this order within 30 days of the, so to appeal the FERC decision, we have 30 days from July 11th. In reading how the FERC wrote their decision, I'm not sure that there's much merit in chasing after an appeal of this.
Because we'd have to appeal on the basis of law, not on whether or not we agree with the decision. Or not.
On law, or I think also being able to make a case that FERC didn't make a sound decision based on the evidence that they had. I think it's a pretty steep slope, or a pretty high bar to come up with evidence that First Light does not have the financial or operational resources or abilities to operate 2 LLCs instead of just one. they'll still be bound by all of the terms and conditions of the current license and the new license.
Did you read that enough to know if there was any investigation into whether the financial abilities of either one of the LLCs separately would meet the financial obligations of what could be asked for under the new license? In other words, the cash cow for First Light is the pumped storage project. The potential financial liabilities for upgrades for infrastructure at the dams could be the responsibility of whatever they're calling Cabot LLC. If Cabot LLC could not afford it, yet the parent company or the Northfield Mountain Pump Storage Project LLC could afford it, do they have a way out of making those upgrades? If that was not investigated, then an appeal could be made on insufficient facts, I would think. But that brings up two things that where I'm conflicted. One is Gill is not a town of unlimited resources. And I don't want to speak for the town and put any resources into any kind of legal costs for an appeal. What I'm conflicted with, isn't there an expression something along the lines of silence is complicity?
But what about if we reached out to the others
Mm-hmm.
that were also granted intervenor status?
Right.
You get some information together, reach out to them and see if any of those are interested in
Moving forward.
at least,
forget what-
making a
Give
statement.
them. Mm-hmm.
Making a statement if nothing else, I mean,
What's
Right.
so we don't have to remain silent, but not necessarily.
I know there were other towns like Northfield was on that
Northfield.
list.
Northfield and Irving.
Was FERCog on that or
FERCog was
not?
on it.
FERCog was
So
on
it's
it.
interesting,
Connecticut River
Because
Conservancy
I was at
was on
the
it.
I was at the council FERCog council meeting last week.
And I don't know why it didn't hit me to ask what the status was on their end. But has anyone heard? There were other things on the agenda, but that wasn't one of them. Have we heard
Probably
anything?
in my email that I got today, but I haven't read my email.
I'm just wondering
from FERCog today,
if
so.
they're gonna make any moves on this or not.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to ask them and then, again, bring them and Connecticut River, Conservative, whatever, get,
Mm-hmm.
and at least if, like I said, if nothing else, a joint statement to our concerns. That, I mean, I think personally, I think that with a lot less knowledge about it than you, the fact that they issued us status and we were able to announce it on July 8th and their decision came on the 11th.
Yeah.
It was, okay, we'll give these guys status because we've already made up our mind and we'll just shut them the hell up.
Yeah, it does feel like a rubber stamp at this point.
And seeing the list of entities that status was granted.
Right.
And I'm going to single out Carl Meyer. And in no means am I disparaging
Right.
his knowledge and his care and passion for the river, for the species in the river. And he's been a great advocate. But it does seem unusual for FERC to grant intervenor status to a person.
To an individual.
And I believe it may have been you at that meeting 2 weeks ago that mentioned the word rubber stamp. Was this just a rubber stamp to get it all through?
you think back to the gas pipeline process and intervenor status there, then FERC chose one town or two towns out of many to represent
Right.
all of the other towns. Several elected
They only
officials
chose
and-
one, right?
So
Mhm.
it's, yeah, there's a little bit of cynicism about the timing and what decision FERC made. We have some time to wait to see what other kinds of intervenor responses, if there's a course of action. I don't know if the FERC process would allow for or recognize anything sort of a letter of concern versus some sort of formal appeal or
Right.
something contesting the decision.
Well, and I'm wondering if that's where the other interveners are going, or I'm guessing that most of them are coming to the same conclusion, that we're not really in a position to appeal because we don't have much information to appeal on, first of all. And so I think there's going to be probably outreach to some of the other interveners to see, has anyone come up with any ideas? Or if is it just something we need to save our resources and wait and see what happens. It's hard to act. I know your silence is complicity, but it's also hard to know what to act on when you don't have, you don't really have information.
Ray, do you have any idea how much of that information on FERC's deliberations is available, or where it might be available?
It would be in the e-file library. Whether within their decision, they outline a number of discussion points,
Uh-huh.
and they do cite which documents that they're basing certain comments to. It's essentially like a well footnoted term paper.
And I take it that's a copy of it right there?
This is the decision,
That's the decision.
and I can email that to you.
That would be good.
Who would the cog would be?
Kimberly McPhee.
Would be
Yeah.
Kimberly? Okay. Just thinking they're a good place to go since they're in touch with most of the towns pretty regularly, so.
Well, and if we have a group of us who all are feeling the same way, so even if we don't end up appealing, but whether they'll do anything with a letter, they still have to accept the letter, it still becomes public information.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
At least you
So a nicely worded
haven't said it's on.
letter that says, yeah, you're first.
Okay.
And that would be something that there's no deadline.
Right.
So if it
But I'd
was-
work in front of that deadline if we could, just to,
Yeah.
in case there's a way that we can do something.
Right. I think if you could email that to me and maybe copy Kimberly on that with just a little bit of a blurb about what we're thinking, and that will, one, be a reminder to me, and two, a heads up to her, and that maybe that will
Do you have a
entice
contact
one
at-
of the two of us to,
I was
do you
gonna
have a
say, yeah,
contact
if
at
you can,
Connecticut River
just-
Conservatory?
Andrea would be a good
Andrea
one.
Dowell, yeah.
Let's
Maybe
leave her
just
too.
send it to
Yeah.
all three of us, because I'd like to see it too. Just, I'm just thinking, because you're on the planning board with the COG, and I'm on the council, so.
And that would
there-
just be
there
information sent to us, so it
occasionally,
wouldn't be.
and I'm
Well, you're there,
occasionally.
yeah,
I can
you're,
probably
you're,
have
you're a
chat with
part of the
somebody.
COG, so, yeah.
I can probably have a chat with a person or two.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just make sure we
Yeah.
don't deliberate about
Right.
it, but we can all three receive the information, that would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you, right. Anything else on that one? You caught up with your notes?
Close enough.
All right, on to new business. Might as well start with the fire department purchase order for air pack batteries and charger.
These are additional batteries and an additional charger that go on the air pack. What they've found with the air packs, when we got them, we purchased 4 spare batteries. When they use the air packs for training, for drill, they're generally using more than 4. So when the batteries start to get weak and need to be swapped out, they don't have enough spares to swap out and let everybody continue to drill. What Gene is asking for is approval to buy 8 batteries at $260 each, and then 1 additional charger, which is a 6-bank charger, and that's at $500. Good. Photo of the battery and a photo of the chargers if you really want to see.
How long did they
Well,
last?
because he printed color ones, I almost feel like I have to.
How long do these last, you know?
Battery and a charger.
The lifespan of the batteries?
I don't know that.
I'm just, I just think that would be good to know in terms of if we have to replace these on a fairly regular basis.
Well, these aren't replacement though, these are additional.
These are additional, but
because
I'm just
they're-
curious,
yeah,
like,
I don't know.
that's they're pretty expensive batteries.
Yeah,
So to,
well, that,
lifespan would be-
260 apiece, that's
Yeah.
not cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with going
Yeah.
forward, but it would be nice to know what the lifespan of
Mhm.
them are.
You could ask him to ask that question anyway, but, sure. Makes perfect sense what he wants.
Well, the other thing I was thinking of while Ray was presenting it is, we've got a Thursday night drill and we're using these batteries and they're getting pretty dead during the drill, and a fire call comes in.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of dead batteries that we've worn down in a drill.
Mm-hmm.
so I'll make a motion to accept the purchase order.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You can sign here, not there. You
Oh,
don't
I
have
was
to.
checking.
yeah.
Does something sense?
Such a comedian.
And another purchase order, this one's to the Berkshire
AHEC,
AHEC Health something collaborative.
Area Health Education Collaborative or
Yeah.
something like that.
They have some essentially very tall cubicle wall panels, 84 inches tall. They've got nine sections plus a door section that I think would be just perfect for temporary office space for getting the assessors out of the,
See if I still have it on
out of the basement.
What a picture.
yeah.
Nicer, I assume, than what we had left over from.
Well, taller, it has a
Taller,
door
yeah.
built in, it's,
So you don't have to slide a desk over
No,
and put a
no,
desk
no.
in front of it?
We-
And stack
we
things
still
on the
could
desk
if-
so that,
if we miss it, we could,
If
yeah,
we
I
miss
still
it,
have
but
Maybe I should, there we go.
oh, that's very different.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a 36-inch door,
Before, that's what,
84
Yep.
inches high, so it's tall
you
enough.
often see them in airports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
They're
when
moving,
they'll section off a,
Yeah. they're moving their office. This is gonna end up making like a 9x12
Yep.
office downstairs. It's,
yeah,
They've been really-
it's a good idea.
they've been really good to work with. They
Mhm.
went on there for 2,000 or best offer, and I asked them straight up what they could do, and they offered me 1,500.
Good job. Nice.
Well, they've got them listed here.
There you go. Down the bottom it says 2. I didn't. This is the first time I've looked at the picture since I made the phone call.
I'll make a motion for that. Good find.
It's a good way to move.
Yeah.
The assessor. Second.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
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 hopefully we'll be going to get them Wednesday. Some
Do we need to sign
disassembly,
Nice.
that, or you all set? Okay.
some disassembly required.
We can take it in order. We can do public service announcements before other
Sure.
business.
So for the Gill community at large, this is just to let people know there's a celebration of life for Susie Matter. And it's going to take place Friday, July 26th, 1 to 4 p.m. at the Shoots and Vine. Susie was a long time beloved fixture of the Gill store. She passed away this past April.
And other business.
We got the annual memorandum of understanding between the solid waste district and the town that the district is going to conduct a hazardous waste collection event Saturday, September 21st. At GCC and at the Orange Transfer Station, they'll take care of coordination and administration. We'll get charged a share of the expenses. And we won't be assessed more than the amount that we budgeted for, which was $750.
That's right.
Motion to sign
Motion
it,
to
or?
sign.
So moved.
And for the list, there's, do we have a list of the sort of
They'll
hazardous
put one
waste
out.
on the website or something? that we-
They'll put one out pretty
They
soon.
will,
I would-
so that people
Yep.
can know exactly
I mean, I
what,
think
what
you
it is.
usually attach it to our website and whatnot.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
and give a copy to us. And
Likely you can find it there already. It will either be
Yeah,
the list for this fall or it's the leftover list from last year.
okay.
It doesn't change much.
Just to let people,
Right.
all those 3 people that might be watching.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
Oh, wait, we had our discussion.
Came after one. We're taking it, just breaking all the rules. Aye.
Aye.
And one last item that I forgot to put onto the list, have a request from the police chief to appoint John Cowan as part-time officer for the police department.
So moved, contingent upon all the normal stuff.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So does that wrap up the fun part of the meeting?
That does
Looks
it.
it from my list.